Call the meeting to order. All rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call. All members are present. Approval of the agenda. We have one change under reports and presentations. The EDA report, we didn't have a meeting today, so there will be no report. Is there any other changes to the agenda, Council? And none, do I have a motion to approve the agenda with that change?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Heidi, second by Dave. Call the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5 in favor, none against. Approval of the minutes, October 21st, 2015 regular meeting. Are there any changes, corrections, any clarification? Hearing none or seeing no one, do I have a motion to approve the minutes of the October 21st, 2015 regular meeting?
I'll make the motion.
We have a motion by Diane,
A second.
second by Heidi. Call the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
I'm an
Motion-
abstain.
Okay. 4 in favor, none against, 1 abstention. Thank you, Dave. That moves on to our public open forum. Is there anyone here that would like to address the council? Is there anyone here that would like to speak to the council? Is there anyone here that would like to speak to the council? Seeing no one, our public open forum is now closed. We have no public hearings. With that, we will move on to our reports, presentations, annual citywide insurance renewal. Mark Maloney.
Thank you for having me back again this year. Tonight we have a couple resolutions we need to decide on, or tonight, or maybe if you table it the next meeting, but I'm just bringing them up tonight. Every year we have to make the decision as whether or not we want to waive the tort limits, and we also have to decide whether you're going to have or waive the excess liability limits on the city's policy. One change from last year, and Vicki has it in your packet, but they did increase the limits to $2 million if you do not waive. It was 1.5 last year, but they changed it. They found that the league found that a lot of cities were a little short when they had claims with some of their actions, so they did increase that to $2 million. The aggregate still remains $3 million for most of the different parts of the policy. So that changed on January 1st. Every year I'm usually asked, why do we want to have the tort limits waived? And some of the reasons are that the statutory limits either do not or may not apply in several types of claims. And one of them may be claims under civil rights. If you saw Ferguson like this last year, that was one area where that city may not have had the limits they needed. So civil rights is probably the biggest one. Number 2, in that first section, claims for tort liabilities that the city is assumed by contract. And then claims and actions in another state, and claims based on liquor sales really don't apply to you because you don't have a liquor store. And claims based on taking a theory, challenging on land use regulation frequently included inverse condemnation, and claims alleging that regulations amount to taking of property. The second one is limits. The LMTC primary liability coverage has annual limits on coverage for specific risks. So there might not be enough limits remaining to cover the city's full exposure if there's a second loss in the same year. So that would be another reason. And the city may require by contract to carry higher limits is number 3. And then 4, there may be more than one political subdivision covered under the city's coverage. And I think this is the reason, because you do have the EDA, that you have carried the excess liability in the past. So I always bring up who needs excess liability coverage. If anything, excess liability coverage is even more important to small cities rather than large cities. If the city ends up with more liability than it has coverage, the city will have to either draw on existing funds or go to the taxpayers to pay that judgment. Large cities faced with that same situation can spread that risk over their taxpayers. So, there's a chart in your packet. It does explain those 4 different options. The first one, if the city does not have excess coverage and does not waive the limits, the maximum amount of a single claimant could recover is $500,000. And the maximum total amount for all claimants on a single occurrence would be $1.5 million. And on a liability claim in which the statutory limit does not apply, it would be $2 million. So if the city does not have excess coverage and waives the statutory limits, the limit would be $2 million across the board. Claimant could receive that. And if you did have the excess liability, but it do not waive the statutory limits, then the limit would be $500,000 on a single claimant, $1.5 million on a single occurrence for multiple claimants, and then $3 million for claims that do not have statutory limits, where they do not apply. And then if the city does have $1 million of excess coverage and waives the statutory limits, the maximum amount a single claimant could recover on an occurrence would be $3 million, and the maximum for all claimants on a single occurrence would be $3 million. And on a liability claim to which statutory limits do not apply, that would also be $3 million. Any questions on the insurance?
Questions? Basically, every year we usually have the excess liability and we waive it, right?
You have in the past, yes.
Okay. So we're looking at a 3 to 5% increase. Is that what, on property insurance?
There are some areas that were a little higher and some that were lower. It seems like it's been pretty flat. The renewals are flat. And those projections, I think, for the 3 to 5% are for next year's planning budget.
Okay.
That I put in the packet, that's for next year.
Okay. Anyone else have any questions? Guess not. Thank you.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Ambulance third quarter report. Tim?
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Here to present the third quarter report for the ambulance service for town here. Once again, we had a very busy summer, like we have for the last several summers. We had a total of 207 calls, which was about 30 calls over last year at this time, which brings our total calls of service to 532, which is just slightly higher than last year and kind of continues our upward swing. We've had 72 of those calls were transfers to various hospitals that are listed on the back page of the report. We also had 53 no load or canceled calls, and there's a list of the reasons why there. We always have an uptick this quarter, mainly because of the fair. We take calls of service at the fair. We do our fair booth, the demo. We also, it's our parade. time of year. So other special details we've done is, of course, the parade fair demo. We did night to unite, did some football games, and then when we did some standbys for the fire department. We did bill out just over $160,000 worth of patient billing through this quarter. That's pretty much what I have. Any questions that I can answer?
Questions? Comments? We're okay with staffing and everything so far?
We currently have 21 members. We like to have 20. We were a little short on the daytime, so we upped it to 21. So currently we have 21, covering a strong majority of our shifts. Very rare do we have an opening.
Okay, so really no concerns or nothing?
No, everything's running fairly smoothly.
Okay, good.
All settled in the new garage then, or?
We are. It's working great. Now that kind of brought it to my attention, our new ambulance should be arriving either late this year or maybe early next year. I just got a message from the provider that it's being built as we speak. So hopefully that'll be coming here not too long.
Good.
So.
Good. Anyone else have any questions for Tim?
No.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Park Board report?
Okay, the Park Board met last night in their regular meeting. They did receive the campground financial report for the year. It is not final yet because we still had some postings for October to be entered. They are looking to recommend the appointment of a seasonal employee at the arena to help share some of the shifts with our part-time seasonal that we have up there right now. And they also discussed some reconfiguration of the campground because we have some vacancies and looking at taking some of those smaller sites and combining them and then adding the larger ones on the far end. So over the next few months, we'll be working at developing some costs of what that might include. I had in your packet about the naming rights for the splash pad, but that was taken off the agenda, so we have not had that conversation. So that was really the crux of what they had last night, was mostly campground discussion. You have any questions about any of that? And Heidi's nodding her head, she was there.
Would we be losing sites, many sites then at the?
We have a permit for 80 sites, and so that's what we're at right now. So if we took a couple sites and combined them, then we would add on the end. So we would net the same number, we would just have larger sites. With the sizes of the rigs that are coming in now, it's getting more and more difficult to put seasonals in these small sites, especially those with double slides. So, and also the larger sites we charge more for. So.
Thank you.
Anybody else have any questions? Okay, thank you. We removed 6D. That takes us into our action items. Approve insurance renewal and action on excess liability waiver.
Right, then this is what Mark just talked about. So if you're ready to take action on whether we want to waive the tort liability limits or statutory limit and purchase the excess liability insurance, we can do it now, or we can do that at the next meeting if you still have some questions. In the past, we have purchased the excess liability and waived the limit for the reasons that he stated. I think another example, because some of you haven't been here when we've done this before, it would be like where Tim, I thought, here's the ambulance, if you had an ambulance going down the freeway with a couple EMTs and a patient in it and they're involved in some kind of an accident, the $500,000 doesn't go a long ways. If it was per person or through, you can have a total of 1.5 million and up to 2 million, I believe, if we don't do anything. And that was we had those reasons in the back of people's minds that could happen. You have the EDA, there's some different reasons why the city in the past has chosen to go ahead and do this. I don't know if we mentioned it, I did have it in the packet last year. We did purchase the excess coverage and we did waive the limit, and it was a total of the two of just over $9,000 to do that. I did put in the budget for 2016 $10,000 because I wasn't sure what the amount was going to be if you choose to do it. So we do have it proposed to be done, but tonight is the action that you would take if we're going to actually do it.
Questions?
What is the difference?
Pardon me?
What is the cost, the additional cost?
Well, it's based as a percentage of our municipal liability insurance, and so, it was about 9,000 last year, and that's why I budgeted 10,000 for next year. But as we go through the renewal, we won't know the final amount until all the renewal is done.
Okay. Everyone understand? Questions? Not, do I have a motion to purchase excess liability insurance and waive the statutory limit?
I'll make a motion, we do that.
And I'll second.
Motion by Keith, second by Heidi. Any other questions or concerns? Hearing none, call the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5 in favor, none against. Approve amendment to lease agreement, CentraCare Health Systems Sauk Center.
As you know, we're working on the refunding or refinancing of the 2005C hospital bonds, and because CentraCare is currently in there, we had to go through our lease that we had with them, because their lease payment to us is tied to the amortization schedule of those bonds. And so what we did was, we get the request for the amendment, and what it does is it ties the new lease to the bond that refunds that and any future ones. So say the 2015C gets refunded in the future, the new bond the lease would be tied to the new bond as we move forward. So that's why the language doesn't refer it to the 2015C, it's just the 2005C and any bonds that replace it for refunding. So, because I had some people ask me that question. I did send this down to our bond counsel so they could review that as we go through the process of obtaining the bond, and they have signed off on it, and they said it meets their needs. So so what we're looking for tonight is just to approve this lease agreement amendment with CentraCare, removing the language referring to bond series 2005C and inserting language referring to the new and/or future refunding bond.
Questions? So if, at some point, if we decide not to go ahead with the refinancing of that bond, or this is
It's still tied to the 2005C.
still tied to it, okay. Any other questions or comments? Hearing none, do I have a motion to approve the lease agreement with CentraCare, removing language referring to bond series 2005C and inserting language referring to the new and/or future refunding bond?
I'll make the motion.
We have a motion by Diane. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Dave. Any other questions or concerns? Call the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries 5 in favor, none against.
We are on track for this bond refunding. You'll see that at your November 18th meeting, 2 weeks from tonight. The language has been done, the legal work has been done. I have the bond rating call with Standard & Poor's at the end of the week. And then we also have to have an independent review, which is being done by another financial agency. And so this should be in front of you in 2 weeks from tonight. And that's where we would lock in the interest rate, and we'll know exactly what the savings to CentraCare will be at that time.
Okay. Thank you. Approved 2015 TIF pay-as-you-go and abatement payments.
We do have 2 outstanding tax increment finance pay-as-you-go projects. The one is Mississippi Flats, which is the rentals across the street here where the old school was, and the other is the windmill project up in the industrial park. Those 2 are pay-as-you-go projects where we reimburse the developer for costs that they incurred. The total payments to Mississippi Flats for 2015 is $16,650. And to Sauk Center Opportunities, because they are the ones that we're doing the development with the windmill company, of $6,425.92. Those are annual payments. We also have an abatement payment to Dunham Express, and those are semi-annual payments in August and December. And what they receive is the city's share of the property tax back as a rebate. And so their semi-annual payment is $2,277.19. So the total of all these payments are $25,353.11. And so that's what we're recommending gets approved for payment with the November 18th payroll batch.
Questions?
When
Go ahead.
When are these scheduled to end?
The Mississippi Flats one, I believe, has 4 more years. The windmill company has 5 years, and the Dunham one was a total of 15 from the beginning, but it had a cap on dollar amounts, and I'm not sure which of those is going to hit first, but it would be about 10 more years.
Be about how much? 10 more?
10 more, yeah.
Okay.
Okay, any other questions or comments? Okay, do I have a motion to approve the 2015 pay-as-you-go and abatement payments in the amount of $25,353.11?
Motion to approve.
We have a motion by Dave, do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Heidi. Any other comments or concerns? Hearing none, call the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5 in favor, none against. Approve accountant/payroll specialist step.
As you know, a year ago, we went through the process of hiring Jacqueline. She's been employed with the city for 1 year as of November 10th. I did put a little excerpt in there that the city was fortunate to find a talented and dedicated individual to fill the accounting position last year when it became open following retirement. Jacqueline is a quick study and very knowledgeable in her field. She has transitioned into the governmental accounting environment and has applied her background knowledge in accounting and auditing to help streamline and modernize our system. In addition to her knowledge in the field, she is professional, works well with other staff, consistently meets deadlines, and brings new ideas and processes to the table while helping to eliminate redundancy. It is for these reasons I recommend Jacqueline be advanced to Step 5 of the pay system, effective November 10th, 2015. And she started at Step 4, so I'm not taking her from 1 to 5. I'm taking her one step advance, and that would be effective November 10th.
Questions, comments? Either that or I'll be looking for a motion to approve step advancement for Jacqueline Kirkhoff to Step 5, effective November 10th, 2015.
So moved.
Motion by Heidi, do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Diane. Any other questions or comments? Call the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5 in favor, none against. Approve advertisement for arena seasonal staff.
And as I'd mentioned at the report part of the meeting, the Park Board, at the recommendation of Public Works Supervisor Matt Zinio, they're recommending that the city hire one additional seasonal employee at the arena to share hours with the existing employee. The total hours worked or budget is not expected really to be impacted by this. This is somebody to start sharing the hours, learning the ropes up there. So what we're asking tonight is to approve the advertisement for the seasonal employee for the arena, and then once we go through that process, it would come back to you for the actual appointment.
Okay, is this somebody we're actually looking at in case we've got 2 people that work up there now, right? Dennis and,
No, just Keith, just one.
oh, just Keith.
And then also our Public Works staff works up there, but we just have the one seasonal employee up there.
Okay, so we're looking to add that in case, say Keith can't be there or,
Whether he can't be there, they share the hours, and eventually we expect Keith would one day decide he's ready to retire. I mean, so far we've been fortunate. He's been with us ever since the arena opened,
okay.
so.
Okay, any other questions or concerns? Okay, do I have a motion to approve the advertisement for seasonal employee for the arena?
So moved.
Motion by Dave, second.
I'll second that.
Second by Keith. Any other questions or comments? Call the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries 5 in favor, none against. Approve pay voucher number 4 for Stearns County.
This is our 4th payment to Stearns County for the Beltline and Center project. Total work completed for the city share so far is $1,020,362.56. So that's the total amount of work that has been completed so far that is the city share. We have paid to date, including this voucher, will be the $969,344.33. The other 5% is the retaining, the 5% retainage that is until after everything is done. So the amount of this voucher is $101,268.20. And this has been reviewed by our city engineer as well to be sure that all the numbers have been appropriately applied.
So is this maybe the last one until we get the final lift put on?
We may have a kind of a straggler bill coming in as they're paying additional bills, and then we won't see anything again then until spring.
Okay,
At least that's my understanding, that we won't see another one till then.
okay. Thank you. Is there any other questions or comments? If not, do I have a motion to approve pay voucher number 4 for $101,268.20 to Stearns County?
So moved.
We have a motion by Keith. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Heidi. Any other questions or comments? Call the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion passes 5 in favor, none against. We have no unfinished business. We have no new business, which then brings us into the consent agenda. We have the schedule of claims, unpaid claims of $259,522.10, paid claims of $1,098.13, for a total of $260,620.23. We have resolution number 2015-81, resolution accepting contributions of $209 from the men's card playing group to be allocated to the senior center, $50 from Dr. Jim Walk-Loritz for the ambulance department, and $15 from Rosa Rodriguez for the senior center. I'd like to thank those 3 contributors for their donation. Is there anything else on the consent agenda anyone would like to discuss or look at? If not, do I have a motion to approve the consent calendar as presented?
So moved.
A motion by Dave,
Second.
second by Diane. Any other questions and comments? Hearing none, call the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5 in favor, none against. Informational items, Safety Committee meeting minutes, which you have in front of you. Are there any questions about that? Talk to Vicki about it. If not, do I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
A motion by Dave, do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Heidi. Call the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5 in favor, none against. Meeting adjourned.